Well, Miss Christine, thank you so
I'm gonna hand
much
the phone to
for.
Christine.
Okay. I know that it's difficult for you to listen to this, and I was keenly aware that you're in the background and you're having to deal with this. I wrote something this morning in my newsletter, and I said that you have been wanting transparency about around this. First of all, good morning. Thank you for joining us. But you have been wanting transparency around this. But hearing the actual words and the results or whatever, that is extremely difficult. You want transparency, but then to be able to hear it is heart-wrenching. It's really a double-edged sword.
It is. And honestly, it's one of those things when we're sitting in it because we have not been able to fully grieve, right? So there's a bit of disassociation that occurs. And I too have to just always take a moment to step back and be like, okay, however it goes, right? Like it has to in some way, like it has to be accepted. But again, I can't fully accept the answers and things that were told to us at the beginning because it was too soon. There was no investigation. Stories did not align. And so for people to say, hey, why can't you just accept it as a drowning and be done and those things that have occurred.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we needed that independent autopsy. We needed to make sure that whatever was found was true. But of course, when you don't have the complete picture, that also, kind of makes you question even more, like, what exactly are we dealing with? And we need that. Like my husband and I, our family, we need those questions answered.
When you got the news that the autopsy for the state autopsy was done, what went through what was that like for you? What did you think?
I said, oh, wow. But then again, like Attorney Crump said, the DA did reach out. Actually, I had text the victim's advocate, Amanda, saying, hey, were there any updates for the autopsy? I know the coroner told us it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the toxicology report to come back, which I know that was kind of the main thing they were stressing. And so then I think that afternoon, so today is what? So I think that was maybe a day or two ago. The DA had called and I missed the call. And by the time I saw it, it was too late and I wasn't going to call her at 9 o'clock because I've had to change the settings on my phones because of the harassing phone calls I've been getting.
I want to talk to you about all of that. But just one more thing before we go into that. I just spoke with Ben about transparency. What are you hoping from Mississippi, whoever's releasing this information, whether it be the medical examiner's office, the state, or the DA? What would you like from them? You want to hear everything, I'm sure.
I would like for everyone to just do their job. I would like for everyone to treat this as if this was their child or their family member and give us the same honesty, transparency, and respect that they would expect for them or their family.
Amen. Now, can we talk about the other stuff? You went there, so I feel like I can go there because I've been bothered by it. We've been reporting on it. It's disgusting. I'm going to start with one thing, and then I'll talk about the harassment of you, and especially as a mother and then as a medical professional, and I know you take your profession very seriously when you said, I love everybody. Black, white, red, green, it does not matter. So do not get that wrong. And you've always had really good reviews. But I want to talk about.
Good morning. Good morning. Nolan Wells' mom is right now speaking to Don Lemon, and we are just getting an update on what's going on. For what we see, I think the autopsy is back, but we're going to chime in and listen to what they're talking about.
This blaming the victim and smearing the victim. The reports that we've been hearing. No, Nolan was drinking. He was doing this. And he was doing that. Why? I guess we know why they're doing it, but I want to know what your assessment is, how you feel about that, because let's just say that he was, I'm not saying that he was, let's just saying that whatever he was doing, that doesn't mean that you have to die. Then that doesn't mean he was the only one.
Exactly.
And what do you think young people do? On my senior trip, I was, out there, right? So I'm just saying, kids have fun. So what does that have to do with anything? That's what I don't understand. What's your assessment on this?
Honestly, I feel like that is a way, which we've seen this before, right? Pattern recognition. We've seen this where things have happened, especially when we talk about the Black community. And, after the death, it's a smear campaign. It's, what can we find out about this person? What can we say? And, that's something, my family and I, especially my husband and I, we definitely do not appreciate. But, we can't fight everyone that wants to have an opinion. But also, too, it's part of society that has been allowed to occur, which is it's gut wrenching at best. Because if you were in our situation, how would you feel if there were millions of people who are saying, oh, hey, well, he was at an island, he was heavily drunk. And again, even with the drinking, there are so many conflicting stories, only because I have spoken with adults who knew Nolan very well, coaches that were out there. One in particular, I think he told me he saw Nolan somewhere between like 2:45 and 3:30. He was like, Christine, yeah, we talked for a while. We talked about college. We talked about his life, his
That's interesting.
plans.
That's
And he was like, he
interesting.
was perfectly fine.
Right.
Because I think it had bothered him too that there was this narrative of, oh, he was sloppy drunk. Like and it started at the very beginning. It was, oh, he was sloppy drunk. And I'm like, but was he though? Or is this a narrative that you guys want to use to kind of have us just accept that it was a drowning?
Are you prepared for whatever it is? I know that's tough, and that's a yes and no question.
Honestly, it's hard to be prepared in any way with the way we have been thrusted onto the national stage and just kind of everything. And it's going to take a long time. So even, God willing, when we do get honest, transparent answers, right? Even when we get those answers, it's still going to take a moment, not even a moment. It's still going to take a while for us to digest and really accept that. Because again, and this is just me now speaking from a medical standpoint, we're kind of stuck in one of the stages of grief because we don't have answers. And that's the thing people don't understand. Everyone grieves differently. You hit those stages of grief at different times, and sometimes you feel like they might go on at the same time. But right now, we're kind of just stuck, and we can't move forward because we don't have answers.
So when you talk about all the things that have been spread, there is this officer, I hate mentioning his name, a former officer who is a far right wing, who's been doing the interviews and has been saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on Brandon Tatum. No.
I respect that, and that's the right answer for everybody. I believe
that was a really good answer.
Because I mentioned him, like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a platform.
No, he does not.
So let's talk about the people, the young men that he's been interviewing. They're saying they're his best friends. Some of them you said that you don't know. One of them even said, "Oh, Nolan would be outraged by the way his parents are handling this." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, why on earth would somebody go on and say that about a grieving family?" But
again, distraction. We're not even going to address them or that man. We only want the truth. Again, at the end of the day, I'm going to say it like I've been saying it. The only question we have is what happened to Nolan. That's what we need to know. That's it. That's all.
Dad, you've been here. We saw you yesterday with not only speaking up for your son, but for others as well who have been involved in mysterious deaths. That was a very emotional moment for you, and the vulnerability I saw there. What do you want to say to folks who are your wife is getting, threats, she's being harassed. Those families have been treated like they're a nuisance by police departments, according to the reporting. What do you want to say to America about this?
Like my wife said, just from a parent standpoint, we just want to know what happened. We want a fair and thorough investigation, just like the other families, because we hurt just like them. If this was their children, they would want to know. They would want to go to every resource they can get to the ends of the world to find out what happened. So then that's all we're doing.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app.
Times don't add up, stories don't add up, and it just doesn't. So
Good morning.
want
Good
a
morning.
fair and thorough investigation so we can grieve properly, because we can't, because there are so many answers, but so many questions that are not answered.
I don't know if you want to respond to this, or Ben or Christine. The father of one of the young men who's been speaking out is put up a $50,000 reward reportedly. What do you think of that, Ben or Elmore or Christine?
Yeah, we are happy with anybody who wants to share the objective to get into the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. So we applaud it and we say, yeah, let's all work together to get answers, because we, as we've said continuously, Don Lemon, adamantly, somebody saw something, somebody knows something. I mean, and that's what you want, are answers.
Mm-hmm. Ben, yes, we all do want answers in this. Can you talk to us about that press conference yesterday? Because it's not just, and all of them 18 years old, these young people, right? That was a very emotional press conference with the family and the grandmother. You chose to highlight that at the Urban League. Tell us why.
You know, I am so thankful that Christine and Elmore, Nolan's parents, were open to being able to use the attention that they have been blessed with in the loss of their son to try to help other 18-year-old Black boys who were lost in similar manner as Nolan. Don Lemon, you and I have been doing this for years, where you use your platforms to give, you know, a voice to those who don't have a voice. And when you saw that press conference yesterday, you saw two families completely devastated, where you had that 18-year-old Black boys, three families, all in search of the truth, coming together about what really happened to their children. You had Daniel Irvin, who, like Nolan, they're saying it was an accidental drowning, even though his mother said he was on the swim team. And the fact that he was, you know, on a fishing trip or something with two other white teenagers, he allegedly accidentally drowns, and then they throw away his cell phone, they throw away his clothes, and they delete all their text messages with him. And his mother, Tamika, is out of her mind trying to say, where's my baby? And after 4 days and all-out search where the activist community and everybody are getting involved, then one of the young men and his parents come forward and say, well, he accidentally drowned and we were scared, so we got rid of evidence, and, you know, we are sorry. And so they're charged with tampering with evidence that they lied about. And his mother,
Right. Not
Tamika, is
charged with
saying,
the
if you lied
unaliving,
about
but
his
the
cell phone, you lied
tampering of
about throwing
evidence.
away his clothes, you lied about deleting text messages, then how can we believe you when you say he accidentally drowned when my son was a swimmer? And the fact that the Dallas Police Department took 3 months, even after they confessed to doing all of this, Don Lemon, before they did anything. And she adamantly believes that it was because of Nolan Wells that they finally arrested them for tampering with evidence. She didn't think they were going to do anything. And this was just this Black mother by herself just fighting down. Nobody gave them any attention in the media and stuff. And so that's what this is about, trying to make sure people know our children's lives matter too. And then, Don, Tyler Smith in Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, on 4th of July, this is the same day that Nolan goes missing. Her son,
Wow.
Lindsay Smith's son, Tyler, is at the house celebrating 4th of July, and he's the only Black person there. and he somehow ends up shot in the head, dead. 911 is called, the police come, and then they say they were playing Russian roulette, that it was an accidental shooting, that he shot himself. And the police didn't on his hands or anybody's hands. They just take their word for it.
You
And
said no
then, Don, they
gunshot
have
residue test because you cut out. The police didn't do a gunshot residue test, right? And then
Yeah.
when she said when they told the grandmother and they asked, you know, how do you know it was an accidental or whatever? And she said because they said so. The people with him. That's not an investigation.
Yep.
That's
What he
not
said.
an investigation, but thank God for that courageous black grandmother who refused to say, no, I'm not going to just let y'all sweep my grandson death under the rug. She kept asking for the gunshot residue. She kept arguing. So they took a gun that was there at the scene that they said was where he used to kill himself. And they then did an analysis.
This is
Down Lemon, they
wild.
found out that the casings did not match that gun. And so then they had to investigate everybody who was at the house. Nobody volunteered anything. They went 7 days later to a young man's house. He came out and offered the gun and said, this is the gun that he shot himself with. And you would think they would say, hold on, why didn't you tell us this the day we went to the house? Why did you tamper with evidence? Why did you take evidence away from the scene? They only charged him with tampering with evidence. They still have not charged anybody with killing Tyler Smith, even though if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you take the gun from the scene of the alleged shooting? And so it's just god awful. And, you know, we have to continue to stay on that. I think all of these cases, we're going to find the answers out to what happened, Don. We're going to find it out. 3 18-year-old black boys.
Ben, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have to ask you some legal questions here because it's part of the story, and I want to debunk stuff that's not true.
Yep.
So there have been reports of legal maneuvering from the mom, the parents, to open up the estate to sue people who are for misinformation. Are those things true? Do you want to talk about that?
Certainly. Don, as you know, we're not law enforcement, so to get subpoena power and information, we have to have a legal apparatus. So staked in Nolan Wells' name. And because we have to do
Ben,
that.
can you back up a little bit? You
can...
cut out. I'm sorry, back up just a little bit. I want everybody to hear this. Pardon me.
Yeah, let's be clear. Because we're not law enforcement, we're private entities, and we have to use certain legal apparatuses that are available to us. One such thing is we open up estates, which, as we all know, is the only entity that can speak for somebody once they are deceased. Over his estate limit that then gives us the right to be able to subpoena people and entities and corporations to preserve evidence, to preserve information. So that's why we sent those subpoenas out, because we want that evidence to be preserved, because we don't know what is going to be relevant and not relevant, but we don't want it to be destroyed or lost. And so we want to look at the phone records. We want to look at the social media records. We want to look at the text messages, because that may be very valuable information to discovering what happened to Nolan Wells.
Mm-hmm. And this possible intent to sue, is that part of that? Does that go along with those?
You have to say that language to preserve it. Like, we, in anticipation of litigation, we want to make sure you preserve this information. Right now, the information is going to lead us. We don't know what the answers are, but we're in a ferocious search for the truth. And based on that, then we will do things that are necessary to get some measure of justice for Nolan Wells' family. We hope and pray that we can find out the answers as to what happened to Nolan, and that the district attorney and the government authorities would do what is appropriate based on the evidence that is ascertained. We want to make sure that this is treated just as if it was anybody's child that was taken, that you will say we want equal justice. And as I said over and over again, I am for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. I am for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. We are for transparency so everybody can see.
Were asked yesterday about the father of one of the young men saying that that you somehow slandered his son, and he's looking at suing.
I don't even know. I don't even know who he is. It's a distraction. I don't even recall calling any of those young men's names ever out of my mouth. But it's a
I
distraction.
don't recall it either. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not going to be distracted.
So I will say to the parents, while we're here, Mr. Elmore, do you have anything else that you want to say? You know, transparency from the DA's office, from the state of Mississippi, for what your family's dealing with?
No, just like Mr. Crumb said, we just want a truthful and a transparent and a fair investigation. We want to know answers. And until that's the only time we can agree.
Mom?
Oh.
Once again, if there is original photos, videos, if you saw something, please contact the hotline. Just so we again can get the answers that we are desperately searching for. And if you really are Nolan's friend and you saw something, you need to call. You absolutely need to call, because at the end of the day, if it were you and your parents, I'm sure they would be doing the same.
Thank you, Miss
Thank you so
Christine.
much.
Thank you, Ben. Ben, just can you hand the phone? Ben, thank you. And I really appreciate you joining us. And I want to make sure that you said everything. Yeah.
Hopefully, we're going to have more breaking news on Lexington, Kentucky. I think some people are about to tell us what really happened in that house with Tyler Smith. We'll keep you informed.
Thank you, Benjamin Crump, Elmore, and Christine Wansley. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Don Lemon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is being a just a tragedy amongst itself. It leaves you speechless to hear all the names that they sat there and called of all these Black young children that have drowned, that had came up mysteriously unalive, like the guy that said they was playing Russian roulette. It's something is wrong with this picture. And it just to be honest and raw, I mean, you can't help but to look at this and be like, yeah, when it comes to these kids, and when it comes to the whole Nolan Wells, the Irving guy, justice is not being given because of the color of their skin, and then on top of it too, you have a lot of people that's in power in Mississippi on the Nolan Wells case that they have power, and they are going to make sure that they keep their kids safe. Do I think anything's going to happen? I don't know. But we are yet to still see. And I hope it does. I hope they do get justice, because at the end of the day, you can't sit here and say that, oh, nothing happened, or just to see, that they didn't give back the neck, they didn't give back the lungs, things like that. So I guess we will be getting an update later on the autopsy report. I'm hoping to see that. I'm hoping to see that it says something, especially when it comes to the toxicology report, with what was in the system. Don't forget that you heard what they were saying about the other cases as well. And on top of it too, that his mom is being harassed, and it's all over the place. It makes you all over the place. Being a black person, it is overwhelming, and it is so tiring to keep on hearing this same old shit, And I just hope it gets better. I really hope. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells. Hopefully we'll see what the report says, and we'll try to see, hey, will he get justice? We don't know. But the Katie girl did speak out. The Katie girl has been dropping all type of receipts. If y'all ain't seen it, go and check out different pages. But that girl has been dropping receipts. She said, I ain't got nothing to do with this. And the guys did it. It's just so many unanswered questions. And everyone deserves justice, no matter what we deserve. They deserve justice, all of them. Put it there. If it was your kids, it was your son, your daughter, your cousin, what would you do? So anyway, good morning. That was that, and that was what Nola Will's mom said. And hopefully they'll do another conference or a talk about what their actual report says, and we'll see what goes on next. All we can do is with this right here is really wait and see. That's about it. Oh, you know what, y'all? I want to show y'all this right quick. My local video. Let me show you this, and then I can leave you alone because this lady I seen yesterday kind of gives a little bit feeling. So let's check what she said. This right here was yesterday's report that she's breaking down, and she's been doing really good.
I'm not the kind of person that engages in drama, especially when it comes from creator to creator. But when one of my mutuals is out here trying to gaslight people about the Nolan Wells case, on top of insulting my intelligence, well, then I'm gonna have to drag you, honey. Let's just go ahead and read this section of the report together out loud, and then I'll play you her take, and you can tell me if it's full-on gaslighting or not. Approximately 1:38 hours on July 5th, 2026, Caron spoke with Ocean Springs Police Department regarding the complaint and advised that JCO would be taking the lead on the case. Caron also spoke with JCSO Lieutenant Odom, the shift supervisor, who said that they had taken the initial report. He said his deputies had spoken with several friends that traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan, and that when they left, he was in the company of an unknown female, and that he chose to remain on the island.
That doesn't say the boys spoke to the cops at 1 a.m. It says that the two officers spoke to each other at 1:30. And then the one officer relayed to the other officer that what the individuals had said at that time. Not that the boys spoke to the police at 1 o'clock in the morning. Is reading comprehension that hard for you people? Is reading comprehension that hard? Is reading comprehension that hard? I'm really trying to understand why it's so difficult when you read a document that you can't comprehend what the words are saying in the document.
Yeah, is reading comprehension that hard, Stephanie? Because you're trying to say that the deputies didn't speak to the boys, and that the boys aren't lying about Katie being an unknown female, nor are they lying about saying that they didn't speak to the police until July 7th. So let's break this down together. If Nolan's mother called the Marina Dispatch at 11:49 on July 4th, then 1:3800 hours would be July 5th, 2 hours later. The MDMR lieutenant then spoke to the Ocean Springs Police Department and then spoke to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, who was taking the lead on the case. Lieutenant Odom, who was the shift supervisor, took the initial report. The sheriff's office told Lieutenant Caron that his deputies had spoken with several of his friends that had traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan. So that means between 11:30 and 1:30, the deputies spoke to several friends. Those deputies then Odom, who then relayed the message to the Marina's lieutenant. Now, it's safe to assume that the first person that they would talk to would be Warren, who was the one who reached out not only to Nolan's mother, but the Coast Guard. We knew that Nolan's friends all knew Katie because Warren said that they were all text messaging her the next day. So not only did Warren lie about all of them not talking to the police until July 7th, they clearly lied about this being an unknown female to them. Your excuse for that phrasing is that the police just didn't know who this girl was, that Warren or his friends definitely would have told the police about it, and the cops just chose not to include that in their report. But that doesn't make sense because all people in all reports are unknown to the police. This made you look really bad, Stephanie. The absolute nerve of you, Stephanie, to say that you won't engage in my crazy conspiracy theories as if you weren't standing there right next to me during the Karen Reed case. That's why we're mutuals. You have no problem seeing the conspiracy when it comes to Karen Reed, yet when it came to Carmelo Anthony or Nolan Wells, suddenly you're ride or die for the people that are giving inconsistent stories. I told her I would be willing to hop on a live with her and we can definitely discuss all these inconsistencies. But I don't think she will, because I've been suspecting for a while now that she's being paid by somebody for her opinions, because there is nobody dirtier in this world than a MAGA lawyer from Florida, and I am genuinely concerned that you are a defense attorney and this is what you do, because the only other options are either you're the one with a reading comprehension problem or you're a shitty lawyer. And I've spent a year calling out your bad takes privately and publicly, but I'm done. Because anybody who would take a grieving mother's Instagram post as proof of something over an official report that proves that witnesses are lying is a bad person. Or you can be a good person and admit that you're wrong and apologize to your followers.
All right. She said that. She said that. So there you have it. Hopefully we get more of an update later on today, and we'll see what's going on. Hopefully you have a good day. I am Tank. Welcome to Tank Talks TV1. Hit like.